Welcome to another Volvo video, my 2003 Volvo XC90, and this time I've got a really big problem. So there's a bit of a background story behind it, but right now central locking won't unlock, so I'm going to unlock it with the key. It's a big electrical problem, and like I says, there's a big background story to it, so I better tell you the story and it'll all make sense. Well, I think I better give you the background and then it'll make sense, you know, to where I am at this point in time. So pretty much in the time I've owned this car, I've had a problem that's gone away, you know, it's gone for ages, it comes back, and it's gone for it, you know, and so on. It's only happened a handful of times, and I think it's one common denominator is this: I've been driving for, say, more than 2-3 hours, which isn't very often. And it did happen to me when I was going over to Thornwick Bay, and I was stuck in traffic. It took me about 4 hours to get there. It normally takes 2, and I had that problem, you know, probably towards the end of the journey. So probably about well over 2 hours in, probably about 3 hours in. Anyway, this is what the problem was. So I'd hear a thump from the transmission, like, you know, you changed direction suddenly, you know, a thump from the transmission. Then I'd lose power to my CD player. I get a couple of messages on the dashboard, you know, the message display on the bottom left. I'd have brake failure, stop safety, and an SRS message, which is the airbag. I get those two messages on this display. And then I'd lose the instrument panel, it'd stop working. Stuff like indicators had stopped working as other electrics are out. And the only things that were still working, the engine was still running, so I was able to drive the vehicle. But if I stopped with this problem and I didn't turn the engine on and I set off again, it struggled to move like it were in too high a gear. So it sounds like, you know, the transmission was in a limp mode or something. What else would I lose? I said indicators. Yeah, other things were working. The climate control was still working. The headlights were still working. Like I said, I could carry on driving the car. Now, what would normally happen is, you know, I'd park up, and then I'd plug in my scan tool. It'd read off the various codes, and I'd clear everything off, and, you know, leave it overnight. Next morning it's fine, and that would point to a overheating central electrical module, the CEM, which is basically at the heart of the CAN bus network. If that goes down, you basically lose most of your electrics. Anyway, so I've had this problem, I've cleared the codes, scanned it, cleared the codes, gone away. Like I say, next morning it's been fine. Now, a couple of days ago, went over to Burnley, went over to Oldham. On the way back, I had the problem. Now, I managed to get home, I managed to clear the codes, and then I come out to it yesterday, stone cold, and I'll show you what the problem is, because it's got worse. So just to confirm the problems, I'll put the key in ignition. As you can see, the instrument panel, it's bang, there you go. I don't know if you saw the SRS, and then it's gone down. Now it'll start up. I put it in a gear, it'll struggle to set off like it did before, so transmission's in limp mode. And as you can tell, the climate control's working. That's operating fine. But basically, I've no electrics. So, see, no indicators. There is some life in the wipers, but they don't park. Obviously no power to the CD player. and the transmission lever's not lit up, but I can operate the transmission when the engine's running, and looks like they're all lit up with power to the dash cam and to this 12 volt socket. You can see it's illuminated, so my dash cams can power my dash cam. No hazards, whether it's on or off. That electric window works, but none of the others work. I can't open any of the other doors. I can do that, but what? I can't open the door because the central locking's out, and I can't open the boot lid. So basically, that's where we are. So I can drive it, but I probably no brake lights. So it's not exactly roadworthy. So to that end, I've reached out to a local Volvo specialist. It's called Volvo Specialist Car Sales in Brighouse. They do repairs as well as selling Volvos. I've reached out to them. They're going to come and pick the car up tomorrow, and they're going to tell me, you know, what they find. They do think it's all pointing to the CEM, the central electric module, faulty. But like I says, I've turned it over to a specialist. I'm farming the job out to the specialist. I don't want to do anything that might interfere with the diagnosis. I want to leave it exactly as it is, you know, with the problem, and then they can tell me what the problem is, and I might get them to fix that anti-skid issue I've had. You know, I found out it was the module. I might get them to repair the module for that, or just overall, you know, the rear diff, which is Haldex coupling, because they say they do module repairs. So hopefully it shouldn't be too expensive. It's going to be cheaper than a dealer, because I think it costs a fortune at dealer. You'd be well into 4 figures. So I'm hoping it's not going to be anywhere near that, but I'm sure we'll find out in time, and that'll be some time in the future. It's now nearly 3 weeks later, and the specialist has managed to make some progress. Now it thinks it could be related to the you know, the anti-skid message I've had, which was the rear differential in the Haldex coupling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that repaired. I'm going to send this off to Volvo Diagnostic in Tilbury, and here we have the coupling. I'll just it's been wrapped up with cable ties. I'll just put you guys down somewhere. Let's have a look. Very stable. I'm not on a tripod or anything with camera. So top tip, if you ever want to remove cable ties intact without snipping with side cutters, you just get a Stanley blade, just wedge it in. I use a similar item to a Stanley knife blade. Just be careful, because there we go. So just unwrap it, and here's the offending item, because there's this plate. This is where it bolts to the vehicle. That goes there. You have a couple of sensors here, and inside some of our electronics is a capacitor there. So that's 19 years old, probably 20 years old. That could have failed, but it's had a complete repair. I've ordered the service from Volvo Diagnostic, and all that remains, there it is, Haldex module. All that remains is for me to pack this up and send it off. And there's a label on it. There you go. Yeah, 2003. Got a date there. It's a Siemens. So get that packed up. I've got a suitable box. Get that sent off, and then we'll see where we go from there. Now they haven't been running around with this disconnected, and it seems to be all right. The CEM actually came back to life. The central electric module, that's what was failing. It's come back to life. I've driven it around with this disconnect. It seems to be all right, but not necessarily the problem. But we need to eliminate this faulty unit before we can progress any further. And let's see where we go from there. So it's quite a few days later, and the module is back. I had to get a replacement. I don't know if I've said it on the video. The guys at Volvo Diagnostic, told me there was a gentleman there called Lucas, and he said the old DEM was beyond repair. Said half at circuit board were rotted, so probably due to water ingress, no doubt, because obviously it's exposed to elements being bolted to the rear differential. Anyway, I've got a reconditioned one with a lifetime warranty, so I'm happy with that. I think about 360 quid all in. But to go to Volvo, to get a new one from Volvo, it costs an absolute fortune. So everything's here. So I'm going to take it back to Specialist, Volvo Specialist Car Sales. Get this back to them. They can refit, and then they can further diagnose the XC90. So it's quite some more time later, and I finally got the Volvo back. Total cost put me over 600. So I'll confirm that differential module's repaired. So I'll just fire it up. Don't worry about the alarm system service required. That was an intermittent problem. And there we go. The triangle is gone. And just see, no more error messages on the display. So what I'll do, I'll scan this for fault codes. They should have done it. Should have scanned it and cleared any fault codes at the Specialist, but I'll scan it anyway and see what comes up. I've scanned it and we've got some different codes, so what I'll do is I'll create a report. So, make a PDF, see if this will work. Yep, okay. Just have a look at these error codes and we'll see what comes up. So for any any glare, no reflections. Okay, well, we'll just look at these. Rear electrical module, cargo compartment lighting, faulty signal. Well, that's unless it's the LED, but that should be all right. Climate control module, that's the air quality sensor internal fault. We've had that one before, so I'm not too bothered about this one. But there's two in the differential module. See what we've got here. It says control valve, faulty signal, and faulty communication. They're new. Now we've got a working DEM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear them all. See what. Oops, report. I don't want to report. We'll clear the codes. And we seem to be green across the board, but I think that CEM one will come back. So right, I think I'm going to end the video here. The prognosis was just try it with the repaired differential module and see how I get on, and see if there is actually a fault in the CEM, central electric module, which lives down there somewhere. So I'm going to end the video here. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this one. So hopefully my troubles are all over, and if not, I'm sure I'll find out soon enough. So as ever, thanks for watching, and I'll see thee.